All right, everybody, welcome in. This is Eagles Talk on A2D Radio. We got the owners meeting. We have a potential ban of the Tush Push, and we have overall NFL draft and free agency buzz. This is Eagles Talk on A2D. Let's go.
If you love the Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! You love the Philadelphia Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! Philadelphia!
All right, everybody, welcome in. This is Eagles Talk, broadcasting live from the Real Talk Studios. I'm Rob Brinkman. We have Peter Young. We have Les Bowen in the house. A lot to talk about tonight. We have the owners' meetings, which are always interesting for people like Les. Sometimes you get to talk to people that you don't normally get to talk to. We get Les's perspective on that. We have a big vote. I believe it's going to be tomorrow about the Tush Push. If 75% of these teams say that the Tush Push is unsafe, illegal, too dominant for the Philadelphia Eagles, it will become illegal. That'll be our poll question in just a few minutes. And we'll have overall free agent and NFL draft buzz. We are brought to you each and every week by Baggio's Breads, home of the best stuffed breads. Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pie, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. So it seems like kind of the big news at these owner meetings where they talk about rule changes and whatnot is centered around our Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. Poll question, pretty simple. Let us know what you think in the poll. The Tush Push will be banned. Hashtag agree, hashtag disagree. I don't know. Peter, what do you think?
I don't think it's being banned. Like I'm sure there's the skeptics, like Sean McVay and Sean McDermott are coming out, and you saw Howie Roseman basically talking to them. I think a few days ago, the owners meeting, and it was most likely Howie just telling them quit being a little bitch. Like just because you like, I Sean McDermott of all people complaining about the Tush Push. While you had Josh Allen doing it 4 times in the AFC Championship game, like you can't talk about how bad the Tush Push is and how unfair it is when your quarterback just can't do it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, when Carson Wentz was, I looked this up, 48 of 53 on QB sneaks. It wasn't a problem then. Tom Brady completed 156 QB sneaks for 91%. I didn't hear it was a big problem. It wasn't a football play and crap like that then. Like, I understand, like, people are like, oh, it's a rugby play. It's not a real play. You know, we're worried how it's going to affect the league and stuff like that. No. Like, if you read the reports, most of the GMs and owners and everything think this whole thing is a joke because the people who are trying to get it banned are losers like the Packers and complainers like Sean McVay and Sean McDermott because they just can't get it done. Like, your argument can't be, oh, you know, it's a big safety issue. Zero, and I mean 0 people have been hurt because of the Tush Push. Like, it's jealousy, and they even talked about that in the owners meeting report that came out earlier in the week. Like, it's a jealousy thing. They can't get it done. And that's why they don't want it anymore. That's why they want it banned. Like, there's not enough people who are willing to say yes to this being banned. There's 0 chance. I mean, 0 chance that 24 owners are going to come out and basically admit that they want this banned because you're going to look like a grade A loser and a bunch of like crybabies. Like, you're going to look so soft in front of your fans. Like, I don't think GMs are going to like it. I don't think coaches would be on board with this being banned just because they can't get it done. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I understand some people don't like the way it looks and things like that. Like, oh, well, you know, it's not fair to defensive players. I said, then find a way to stop it. It's a creative NFL innovation. But if this was Josh Allen, like who innovated this, there would be no discussion. Like, this wouldn't be a problem. Nobody would care. They'd talk about how amazing he is, how athletic he is. Oh my God. Look at Josh Allen do another tush push. Like, they're not banning it. Like, it makes the NFL too much money.
I hear you on that. Now, for those who don't, I believe the Packers are the official sponsor of this. I don't know, whatever you call it, rule change.
Yep. That's
conveniently.
Discussion.
The Packers lost to the Eagles on Wild Card Weekend. Less 24 out of 32 owners to change.
Zero chance.
Yeah, I think that's unlikely. I don't think it's zero chance, like Peter said. Peter made some wonderful points, and I agree with pretty much everything he said. I don't know that it won't be banned. It seems to have there seem to be a number of people speaking out in favor of banning this. I would be embarrassed if I were them.
Yep.
There is no real reason to ban it other than if the Eagles do it so well and other teams don't. That's the nub of the issue. Even the way the wording of the proposal from the Packers, I mean, they might as well say, and if your quarterback went to Alabama and Oklahoma, therefore, it's just really naked. On social media today, somebody suggested after I wrote about it, posted about it, that the Eagles counter with a proposal to ban players jumping into the stands after scoring touchdowns in the interest of player and fan safety.
Yeah, it's pretty unsafe.
At Lambeau Field, especially.
Push.
Here's what I think. There's no good reason to ban it. It probably won't be banned this year, but this is not the first time this has come up. And since the Eagles started doing this, it seems to be a topic of consideration every year. And the general sense I have of stuff like that is when it keeps coming up, sooner or later, they end up doing something. I would love for the vote to be like, 30-2 tomorrow, and for the people who are pushing this to just shut the hell up for good. Yep. But I doubt that's going to happen. And especially if it's a fairly close vote, then I would bet you next year they'll figure out something. Sooner or later, there will be an injury because there's injuries in all sorts of football plays, and they will waive that, like the bloody shirt, that'll be the pretext, or there'll be some other pretext to come up with.
Like the the Buster Posey injury in baseball.
Yeah. There'll be something, but it doesn't look good, and I think there are a lot of people who agree that it doesn't look good, and I think for that reason it might.
What do you mean it doesn't look good?
No. I mean it doesn't look good to ban it for no reason whatsoever, other than that this one team that happened to win the Super Bowl. Next year, if the Eagles aren't the reigning Super Bowl champions, that might give enough cover, to get this done. If you don't look like you're punishing the team that beat everybody, that could be the pretext for banning it. But this year, I kind of doubt it. Whatever they do, I think as the numbers Pete quoted would suggest, I think the Eagles will be very successful in whatever quarterback sneaks they have to do, however they have to do it. And I would, if I'm playing Buffalo or Green Bay next season, I might run it about 10 times.
Yep.
Just on 1st and 10. 3rd and 3
is on the schedule.
My first 3 plays are tush pushes if I'm playing the Packers. I don't care what happens.
Yeah. But when you're that good at something, it's not luck.
It's skill.
The Eagles clearly make it a point to ingrain this in their short yardage package.
Yeah.
Well, they have an incredibly big, have the biggest offensive line ever to win the Super Bowl. Very skilled offensive line with Pro Bowl players, and they have a quarterback who's one of the great power lifters of that position.
No, I think the funniest thing about that is
Those are
like
the
everyone's like,
ingredients.
the funniest thing about that is they bring it up all the time. Oh, he just gets pushed. I said, no. Like, even if they're not pushing him, he's willing himself. Like, look at how many plays where you're just like, oh, that's a loss, and he gets 6. Like the Vikings touchdown a few years ago, it was a huge example of that, to where this is just what he does. He just wills himself those extra yards because of the way he is built, because of his aggressiveness, because of his toughness, because of his legs, honestly.
Right. And if I were an opposing team, I would think long and hard about this, because when you do something like this, targeted at one specific opponent, you make an enemy.
Yep.
And that's a serious thing to do, because sooner or later you're going to have a proposal that you want to vote. You want to caucus somebody to get somebody to vote for your idea, your stadium expansion, or whatever it is that you've got going on.
That seems like a Jerry Jones special.
Yeah, like little
Going
things,
around, like Jerry being
little things, like at the draft.
meeting.
At the draft, a GM will call you and say, "Hey, we've got a guy here in the 5th round we really want to get, and we're worried about Team X, which drafts 2 slots before us. We don't think you guys want our guy, but we're pretty sure Team X does. So, would you trade? We'll give you this and this if you'll switch slots with us in the 5th round." If I'm the Eagles and I'm dealing with that team, click and call the other team and make the deal with them.
Exactly.
I mean, you just don't want to. You don't want to build a lifetime enemy out of anybody, really.
I'm doing everything I can to jump the Packers and take in anyone they think they might possibly want.
Yes.
I don't think
each player they try to get through waivers to the practice squad. I'm on that. I'm watching that like you wouldn't believe. I just don't see. There's not a lot of upside to being the team that tries to do this. I don't see what you're going to gain from it, really.
Les, what would you say that Jeffrey Lurie's reputation is among the other owners?
Top tier.
That's very interesting. I haven't been at the owners' meetings in probably 5 years. For a long time, Jeffrey really wasn't one of the big movers and shakers in the NFL. Even though he was very successful with his franchise, he wasn't one of the guys that really, when they had the lockout in 2011, he wasn't one of the guys that came out and talked to reporters like Jerry Jones would do. He wasn't one of the voices of the league. I think he's pretty close to Goodell. I think he's done things for Goodell from time to time. I think the Michael Vick thing was something the Eagles stepped up to do for the league that benefited the Eagles ultimately. But I think Goodell wanted somebody to let Michael Vick back into football. I think Jeffrey's profile has to have been expanded quite a bit with the Eagles' success here with these 2 Super Bowl wins and 3 Super Bowl appearances. But he's not a real loud, bombastic owner. He's not a guy that gives a lot of, sound bites. I'd be more worried about pissing off Howie.
Yeah.
If I were an opposing general manager or owner.
I guess what I'm getting at.
Howie knows how to get back at people.
Does he have enough stroke, Jeffrey Lurie, that is? Does he have enough stroke around the other owners to be like, we're not doing this. Just vote my way, and we'll make it. We'll get with Howie, and we'll make it worth your while down the road.
Probably not, but there are enough. It's not just the owners. They call it the owners' meetings, right. But your coach has to be on board with what you're doing. Your GM has to be on board with how you vote. The Eagles have some coaches around the league now. Kellen Moore isn't going to – the Saints aren't going to vote for this.
No, Cardinals aren't. Cardinals aren't voting for this.
Vote for it. Shane
Patriots
Steichen's team isn't going to vote for it. There are a lot of people around the league with connections here. I don't really think Kansas City's going to vote for it when push comes to shove. They kind of waffle on it a little bit. But Andy Reid indicated he wanted to see injury data before he agreed to ban anything. I don't think Lurie is a guy that, people don't quake in their boots over Jeffrey Lurie, but I do think that the organization overall has a pretty strong hold on a good bit of important teams, a good number of important teams.
All right, let's get to some comments here. Matthew Walsh, Les Bowen is awesome. So are Robin Pete. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. Very well said, Matthew.
Brian Daly of the Hockey Happy Hour, which will be going off tomorrow night.
Yeah.
John Tortorella.
Yeah.
Got himself canned.
He did. And he did it. He got himself canned.
He's like George. He went out like George Costanza on Seinfeld.
Yeah.
If he's going to get canned, he got canned. So.
Yep.
What's good, fella, is going to disagree with the poll, so not going to get banned, the tush push. John Mamo stopped the play, plain and simple. So he's pro tush push. He thinks defenses should have to stop it.
Yeah, go out and stop it, yes. And it does get stopped. It isn't successful.
Yeah.
Time. If it were successful 100% of the time, that might be an argument, but it isn't.
Ryan Swoop, I'm a diehard Eagles fan, and I get irritated by the play. It's not a fun play. It's boring and takes away the fun of challenging to get yardage. It's very boring.
Really? Because I don't think there's a more exciting play in football than the tush push, in my honest
Is the shovel play that Andy Reid uses on short yardage near the goal line, is that an exciting play?
No.
Is the regular quarterback sneak an exciting play?
Yep. Like, you can say whatever you want, but when they line up for the tush push, people pay attention, and everyone and their mother are tweeting.
Yeah.
Like, it is a just must-see play because they want to see it stopped, and everyone is talking about it. Like, it's like a bad television show on Twitter, where everyone's like, I hate this sucks, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, you're spending the next hour doing nothing but talking about it. All you're doing is helping the cause.
I mean, I agree with Ryan. It's a boring play. But, I mean, it does not.
I don't know of a lot of short yardage plays that aren't boring.
Yeah, because
will have to show me one of those.
Because seeing Tom Brady get pushed for 19 years gave me a stiffy. Like, what are we doing? Like, come on. Like,
that's what the rugby people have the problem with. People that say it's a rugby play. When
it's the exact same thing. They used to push Brady every day.
If you've ever seen rugby,
I hear you, but we're talking about what's happening right now.
It doesn't look anything like rugby. Rugby guys are standing up when they do this.
I agree. That's the argument. The rugby people that say it's a rugby play and not a football play, they don't like when Saquon Barkley and Goddard or whoever's back there rushes up from behind the quarterback and pushes him forward. But it doesn't injure anybody. So
there's one person in the NFL who can tell me whether or not it's a rugby play. And guess what? He's told you it's not a rugby play. So therefore it's not a rugby play.
Yeah, if it were, they'd have him taking the snap.
Like, if it were a rugby play, Jordan Mailata would get the short yardage situation. Like, come on.
That might be what they have to do if this thing gets banned.
No, thank you. No.
We'll put.
I would like to see them if it doesn't get banned. I would like to see the Eagles. They've done this a few times to mixed results. Have Jalen all once in a while pull back and throw a pass on the push, or go around end or something. Do something that really makes it a little less boring.
Possibly. All right, hit that like, hit that subscribe if you like.
Push, flea flicker, Les. Let's go.
Yeah, that's right.
Moving off the tush push stuff, John Attic has a question. Does bringing in A.J. Dillon have any inclination of what's to come? It will just turn into a toss to Saquon. I think Dillon would be the blocker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same
I don't
result.
know.
Look, I don't know
That's
what
an issue.
My thinking has
Dillon
been
did not
that
play
AJ,
any football last year.
yeah,
He was
Yeah.
out. So you have no idea. Like, yeah, it's a name, and he's a big power back, and the Eagles
this
haven't
is a
played.
bargain. This is a medical bargain. You guard against. He's a good player. You picked him up for a very little, and
It's a low risk, high reward. That's all it is.
if Saquon were to get hurt, you would have some quality depth there, some experience depth. Now that Kenny Gainwell's gone, but I don't really think they're designing plays based around the presence of AJ Dillon. It's a thought, though, John.
Then I guess moving on to Les, when you covered the owners' meetings,
Favorite thing. One of my favorite things.
was it really?
Yeah, because there's a lot of gossip, and not just writers talking to themselves, but agents are there, team personnel. You can meet people in corridors and buttonhole them and say, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And you'd be surprised how few opportunities there are to do that in the NFL. It really isn't something, around games, other teams, general managers or coaches or position coaches or whatever aren't around you at all. You don't see them, except behind microphones and press conferences, and they're not going to say anything interesting then. You can just, hey, John Harbaugh, how you doing? What do you hear about such and such? And that's very valuable to me. Also, they have a big party. I think it's probably tonight, if I've read the schedule correctly. Gigantic party catered with, as Rich Hoffman used to say, shrimp the size of handguns, and everybody's there. Jeffrey Lurie's there, and people are there with their wives and stuff, and you can chat up Jeffrey informally, which is literally the only time that ever happened.
Yeah. Get him a little schnockered up.
Go talk to, Andy Reid a little bit, check in with, just go around with people, and hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you. How are your kids? All that stuff. I like that stuff. I enjoy that. There was a lot more of that when I covered hockey than there is in football. Football doesn't give you that many opportunities to do stuff like that. I found it very valuable. That there's all this rule stuff. There's also, free agency isn't over, which is why some of the agents are there. And, in the bars, there'll be agents, and they'll be talking about guys, and you'll be hearing things about your team, why they did X and didn't do Y. And it's just it's one of those less formatted type things where everything isn't, here's a guy standing in front of a microphone saying X. You'll actually get some actual information. And they do it in nice places because these are the owners. I mean, they can have the combine in Indianapolis, but the owners, they either go to Palm Beach, they alternate year to year, Palm Beach, or the very best resort hotel in Scottsdale, Arizona. Those are the two locations. There's only two.
What do you make, fellas? I mean, obviously, Les, you just talked about it. The free agency, it's been underway now for a while. So guys that aren't signed.
Yeah.
What's the deal?
Well, the money wasn't there that they wanted. Yep. And they're going to wait some of them are going to sign 1-year deals.
Yep.
And some of them are just going to be very patient and hope somebody gets hurt or that a team's draft doesn't go the way they were hoping it would, and that they'll end up with the deal sort of like what they wanted or a little more like what they wanted down the line. But probably nothing much happens from now until after the draft.
Yep. Yeah, it's a wait-and-see game right now.
Just some notables here. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, that's Pete's boy. Mm-hmm. He is not signed.
That would drive me crazy if I was negotiating with that guy. And, he's got to be like your starting quarterback if you're dealing with him. You've got to know who your damn starting quarterback because
Please,
it's kind of
Ricky.
important.
Not
Please
worth
do
the
it.
headache anymore. He's not worth the headache anymore. He's not good enough.
I agree, but either Minnesota or Pittsburgh, probably Pittsburgh, is
He's
going
going to be
to
on the Steelers.
as its starting quarterback, and I would want to get that tucked away if I were them and move on.
I mean, Amari Cooper's out there. Asante Samuel Jr.'s out there. I know some fans were clamoring.
That surprises me. Why is Asante Samuel Jr.
I have it right here on CBS. Seems like there's a lot of questions about his health.
About his health?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. His
I'd be
dad was a very skinny little guy, but he pretty healthy,
Yep. I'd love Asante here. That would be fun. Amari Cooper would be a lot of fun in this offense.
Yeah.
Also, another Bama guy would be fun. Him and Schmitty to
Stinks.
I don't think he stinks. I think he's a serviceable number 3.
No, he's not.
Yes.
I wouldn't sign him to do the laundry for the team.
That just shows your
I
lack
don't
of
feel that
understanding.
strongly about it either way. I'll let you guys argue this.
Oh my God, he's such a dog. Every big game, every time it's cold out, just gives you nothing.
Okay.
Absolutely,
I'd take Amari.
nothing.
Well,
Over Jahan Dotson? Yeah, I would take Amari.
I mean, you don't know that's him. I mean, he played for the Cowboys, so every big game, every cold weather game, that's.
If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. And
Okay.
Amari Cooper stinks. Absolutely.
What do you think's going to happen with this Goddard business?
He's
how he
gone.
talked about.
Remember we did this? I don't know, Les, if you were on that. We did this like a month ago.
Yeah. Nothing has happened, and I'm kind of thinking nothing's going to happen. But
So he's as good as gone. Like he just talked about Goddard today, and he described it exactly like he described the Hassan Reddick move a year ago.
I don't think he did, but maybe you're right. I don't remember exactly what he said about Hassan.
We love him, but nothing's really changing right now. We're monitoring the situation. Goddard's as good as gone. I wish he wasn't, but he's done.
I don't know. Reddick last year wasn't going to report. That's not the situation here at all. I feel like they need to get a significant return if they're going to trade Dallas Goedert. I certainly would not trade him without a significant return.
I mean, when you're bragging about signing Harrison Bryant and the guy from the Colts, it doesn't exactly give you the warm and fuzzies for Dallas Goedert's future here.
The only rationale for doing this that I kind of endorse is, I think I mentioned this last week, for some reason, Jalen Hurts doesn't make as good a use of Dallas Goedert as I think he probably could. Maybe the Eagles, they assign value to positions, and that tight end has always been a position they valued. But if you have a quarterback that doesn't want to throw the tight end, maybe you don't need an expensive tight end. That it's a good offense without Dallas Goedert. I would certainly want somebody who can really block in there and be a decent target for a few balls a game.
I don't know what's going to happen. There seems to be, there's been buzz. There was buzz when we did the poll question on it, and it kind of died away, and now it's back again. So, I feel like there's too much smoke, for there not to be.
Yeah.
I
didn't think what Howie said today was really – it didn't move the needle for me. I didn't see it as a kiss-off or anything, but I may be wrong.
Well, I hope he's here because if you trade two guys under contract in Dallas Goedert and C.J. Gardner-Johnson and you get really nothing back, that's not really a good look for the Howie mobile.
To me, there's a point where you're looking too far down the road. You're going to have to give guys contracts in 2 years. Well, let's see how they're doing in 2 years.
You're preaching to the choir on that one. I wouldn't pay anybody early.
I don't go that.
That's why you're wrong.
I don't go that far, but I do think you can worry too much about what cap situation is
Well,
going
they
to
paid
be.
Jalen too early. They're lucky.
No, they don't. They were 100% right. They were 100% right.
Oh yeah, he's like the.
No, they weren't. No,
Yes, they were. They're 100% right.
That
I
was not.
extend them a second time right now.
That was not a good decision to extend.
What are you talking about? We look like geniuses now.
Yeah, now.
Rob, I don't
Yeah,
understand.
and guess what? Even after his up and down year last year, I was still in favor of it. It was still the correct decision.
Okay, well, if he came out this year and played
If he did it though,
then you're an idiot. Then you're an idiot, and you messed up 2
But
franchises.
but he did it though.
That's
He
not
did it.
the way
You're right. You're right. He did it. He got lucky, and it worked out.
No, he knew
was a
what he was
huge
doing.
risk.
That's
That was
what
a
a
huge
smart
risk.
GM does.
Jalen that money. That was a huge risk giving Jalen that money.
Guess what? Drafting Jalen was a huge risk. Trading Carson Wentz was a huge risk.
If you have a franchise quarterback, you pay your franchise quarterback, and you do it reasonably quickly because very soon the salaries only go up exponentially. I don't know where he ranks right now, but it's not anywhere near the top.
Yeah. Ask the Cowboys how this waiting game has worked out for them recently.
All right. Rob, you're on your own here, buddy. I'm sorry. I love
Spare
you.
money, don't make money.
Yeah.
If you don't have the balls for this game, sit to the side.
But they paid Dak. They just paid
No,
Dak.
they paid Dak like 2 years later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, what else we got?
Cheers, Ryan. Swoop's got to catch up.
Uh-oh.
But also the whole crew. Do you guys feel the Birds
great back seven and pass defense and a more than average pass rush? Maybe.
Every single draft resource should be spent on the defense.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, but he's asking about the different in the past. The emphasis has been on the pass rush at the expense of the back seven.
I think the league
He
has.
thinks now that it's more the other way around.
I agree with
I think he's right because I was very nervous about this pass rush all season long. I kept thinking they were going to trade for an edge rusher.
I think once
and then
these guys came into their own
at all.
I think once the team came into their own and your young players were given the opportunities, you had the pass rush there. Like it wasn't who you expected.
Milton Williams, who had 4.5 of your 6 sacks in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You did have a pass rush. The question is, are you going to have a pass rush?
Yeah. I mean, I feel better about our pass rush heading into this season than I did last year. I was like, I have no idea what we're doing.
I would sure like to see them get an edge rusher in the first round without missing on a Pro Bowl player in another position. But if it falls in their lap to get a really good edge rusher, even trading up to 20 or something, do that, please.
I'm all in favor of that.
But Ryan, I don't know. I don't really like that idea. I think a good quarterback, if you don't get the pressure, it doesn't matter how good your pass defense is. But maybe I'm wrong. Again, I say that a lot tonight.
I do think that the league as a whole has shifted towards Ryan's thinking.
Okay.
I do. I think there's a more emphasis on corners who can cover for an extended period of time. Especially
linebackers who can cover too.
Correct.
In the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you get there, you get the coverage sacks as opposed to the bump because people don't blitz anymore.
Yeah.
These teams don't blitz. It's not just here. Like the Jim Johnsons, like they're not out there anymore.
Well, the Spagnuolo, but
he's probably the exception because he's a Jim Johnson.
He is very much so. Yes. Yes.
And Andy Reid, obviously, he was a big fan of Jim Johnson as well. John, it just Evan Flo. We look on the back end, needed someone to complement Carter or Nolan.
Okay. You mean ebb and flow? Is that what we're talking about?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yes, that's what it is.
Is that what it is? I mean,
they definitely need more,
Secondary person at 32, like I'm not going to.
I think they're really banking on Uche and Aziz.
Yep. Uche, I think that's a good. I like that signing very much.
I think it's going to be all right. I'm very excited to see what Aziz can be. You know, you're getting to play with your Georgia boys. You know, like that could be a really fun pass rush group this year.
Yeah.
John Malmos, safety from Atlanta. That's Justin Simmons. I mean,
yeah,
he was cut. I mean, he didn't do anything in Atlanta.
Yeah,
nothing.
They weren't good.
Rasul Douglas is still out there. That's
that.
a familiar face. Kazir White is still out there. That's a familiar
Sewell can play safety. Sewell's a safety now, and he's a smart man.
He's a corner, isn't he?
No, Sewell's been a safety the last few years.
Really?
That's I wouldn't mind that. I like Sewell.
I'd be fine with Justin Simmons. I think that would be an interesting addition.
No, Sewell is, but I'm getting guys mixed up. Sewell has played both. Jalen Mills moved strictly to safety. Guys that played together, and I just sort of at a senior moment got them a little bit confused. But Rasul has played safety.
Yeah, if you're not exactly sure about Keely Ringo heading into the season, Rasul Douglas is an interesting battle for Cam.
Yeah.
All right. Any closing thoughts, guys, on the draft coming up, the owners' meetings?
Yeah, well, I'm really interested in what happens tomorrow with the Tush push and the other stuff that's being done.
Do you have any insight on how this works? Is it a blind vote? Does everyone?
Oh no, there's a lot of discussion, and then I think you have to hold up your hand and stuff. I think you know who.
So you gotta openly admit you're a pussy in front of 31 other men.
But there's other stuff tomorrow as well. They're going to screw with the kickoff stuff again. I wish they'd just leave it alone. I don't care about
once again. Just start borrowing stuff from the XFL.
I think what they do now looks ridiculous to me. You can't even really follow it on TV. You can't see when the line starts moving, and it's.
Well, they thought it was going to revolutionize everything, and they thought oh my God, this is a great idea. It's going to save the kickoff. It didn't do anything.
The concern there is a very good one, which is concussions on kickoffs, which are a big thing. People running into each other at high speed. But if that's a huge problem, then stop having kickoffs. Now they're going to make it to where the ball comes out to the 35 if it's a touchback. Well, so teams are going to start trying to do all kinds of crazy things to get the ball to die at the 3-yard line.
Doesn't that make it so then they're forcing a return so more people get concussions?
More people will get injured. Yes. I just leave it alone. I don't screw. Keep no. And I think the Eagles' proposal and I think other teams are in on this too, is about the overtime, having both teams get the ball in overtime regardless, like it is in the postseason. And I think that's a good idea.
I'm in favor, playoffs and regular season should be the same.
Yes.
No matter what sport, no matter what, the stupid shootout in hockey, they put that ghost runner on
second. Yeah.
Second in baseball now. That's not.
I'll tell you a funny story about that real quickly. My brother-in-law was up for the weekend. He used to be a huge baseball guy. He played and he was really into it. He was in fantasy leagues and all this stuff. And he was so into it that he basically did a 12-step and got completely out of it so that he doesn't even watch baseball anymore. So we were watching the Phillies over the weekend. He was up here and he was like, why is that guy on second base?
Oh, my God.
And he hadn't watched a game since they started doing this. And he was like, he grew up with baseball. He's in his 60s now. And he was like, oh, my God.
I love it.
Who is this, your brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Well, your brother-in-law should, if he wants to some old-school baseball takes, he should check out the Final Whistle here on ATD.
Okay.
Myself, Doug Mankiewicz, former big leaguer.
Oh, yeah.
Brad Ryer.
That's a good guy.
If he's a blockhead like that, he'll fit right in on that.
Yes. But, the league, there'll be league meetings. There'll be some rule stuff. And usually Jeffrey talks formally, not just at the party, but Jeffrey sits down with and there's not a huge media contingent there from Philly usually, more than most cities, but it's not like he's talking to 50 people like he would during the season. It's more like 15, so you get a little more back and forth and Jeffrey explaining himself a little bit. So if they do that, that'll be worthwhile. Nick will be the AFC coaches breakfast was this morning. NFC would be tomorrow morning. So Nick will sit there for an hour and every reporter from around the league will come and ask questions, while he's sitting at a table. So stuff will come out of that. That'll be interesting to see what Nick has to say. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Peter, closing thought?
Let's get ready for the draft.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get more into prospects as we move towards this draft. When is the draft? What is it, April?
29th and 30th.
Yeah.
I think 28 to 30
Last
probably.
week, last Thursday.
Yeah.
It's the
Yep.
first round.
If you're a reporter, what the Eagles might do in that first round scares you to death, because now that the draft is only the first round is all they do the first night, if they trade back.
Oh, wow. It's early this year.
You've got like 4 writers from the Inquirer down there looking at each other like, okay, they traded out of the first round. There's nothing happening here tonight. What do we write? That's just a little inside perspective, but yeah,
Draft's the 24th and through 26th this year.
Well, that's right on top of right after Easter, right? When is Easter?
Easter's the 20th.
Wow. I won't even have finished chewing my bunny ears by chocolate.
Some Zittner's chocolate eggs.
Yeah.
I don't know what they put in those things. I don't know what they put in those things, but they are delicious. All right. Anyway, I'm Rob Brinkman, Peter Young, Les Bowen. Till next week. Peace out, everyone.
Yes.